Okay, it's 10:14. I want to see if this thing is going to close below this uptrending trend line, which it might be able to, or if it's going to continue the uptrend and try to make a move even higher. We still have 40 seconds left, and I did have two other trades. I traded this one and two other ones, and I'll go over it just as soon as I see how it closes this minute right here. And yeah, the trend line is going to be at 410, so that's pretty aggressive. It might not be able to close above it, but if it does, it's going to be super bullish. And yeah, let's just see if it can also continue to hold above $4. Just 10 seconds left. Okay, so it's not just a close under the trend line, but it is struggling to hold above $4. Okay, so let's just go over the first two trades, which didn't work out. They were scratches. First one, HILS. I had an interest in this one because it is one of those that had a nice gap up and it sold off, but it's been trying to regain itself, and it looks like a very important, nice round number is 120. It tried here, didn't get to it. It got to it here, but it didn't break above it. And then I was watching it this morning for the same reason, even though it was on a gap up, and it's even the bottom of this candle right here. So it's a pretty significant level, and I was interested in it. It was the first trade I had at 932, which was right here at 932. I was in 50 shares at 118 and almost 119, so right around here. And the idea was is that it was already above VWAP. It's right in the morning. It had some volume in the first candle, and it can try to make a move and break above 120 and make a breakouts and uptrend some more, especially in the morning. It didn't seem like it was going to work, but I decided to stick to my plan, which was 118 breaking. And once it finally broke under it, I think that's when I got out of it for the first time. It just didn't work out. It sold off. It just had a lot of people dumping their shares at the bid, and people at the ask at 120 had a lot of size. Oh wow, yeah, it looks like this one is actually taking off some more. That's a very scary, that's a very scary move right there. I did sell eventually at 940, which was right here. And yeah, this was the first time it broke under this 118 level. I somehow got a sell at 116. I'm gonna guess if I didn't use a market order, maybe it would have been a sell at 117, which is fine. It didn't work out. I was in at 118, got out at 116. So roughly, I think $1.50. Not a huge loss right there. And then I did try BuzzFeed, and this was a morning panic bounce play. It's been kind of selling off. It's had like this gap up. It was selling off that gap up, and it could find a bottom eventually at this original support level, and then it can try to bounce again. I did buy 40 shares at 942, which was right here. I was kind of late to it. I saw it after it was starting to work a little bit. I didn't have too much time to take the trade, but it did look like something I was familiar with. And at 942, I was in at 227, almost 228, so right around here. And the goal was to get to VWAP, which it didn't do in this case. And I had this uptrending trend line, and I got out of it when it looked like it was going to break under it, which it did end up doing right here. But I probably could have waited and sold at 945 because it was trying to work right here. And then when it broke under this uptrending trend line, I did get out. So I'm here at 944 at 228 and a half. So this ended up being a very slight profit. It was a scratch. And then this official candle right here at 945 open and closed past the uptrending trend line. And as you can see, the setup failed, and I haven't really been too interested in it since. It could maybe make an inverse head and shoulders, a shoulder, and then an ugly head right here, and now a potential shoulder, but I don't like the way it looks, but it could still play out and be a setup. And then I traded this one, and yeah, this one had a crazy wick as high as 450. I bought 30 shares at 1011 right here. I did see an inverse head and shoulders. The shoulder I had, and then the shoulder, and then I felt like I was kind of late to it. But what makes the stock go from something that is selling off to something that is potentially able to uptrend more is VWAP. And even though I saw this inverse head and shoulders and I thought in theory I should be in at like 250, not 250, but 354. I did get in at yeah, 10:11, which was right here when it was breaking above the VWAP, and it was looking nice. It was a bit of a chase, to be honest, here at 378. And yeah, I did sell this one in pieces. I sold 10 shares the next minute at 387. So right here is when I got out 10 shares, and then I held on to the rest, and I tried to draw a trend line, and it broke it. I got out just 5 shares at 392 at 1013, which was right here. 392, so right around here at 1013, so this green candle right here. And then I got out of the rest because it was like really excessive at the same minute, but this time at 402, so that was a sell right here. I didn't trade this one perfectly. In theory, I should have still have been in the setup until it actually opened a candle past the uptrending trend line, which would have been probably, yeah, but this one right here, because it did open under it, just barely. And then maybe I would have had a chance to, have sold better if it were to have continued the uptrend. If it didn't break under this uptrending trend line. I just sold right here because it was looking too crazy. I could have just held on to this and continued to make a move, and I would have left money on the table. Very crazy wick there. This can be a setup where it just downtrends and it holds above VWAP, and then it can try to make another move. That could totally be a thing. Very volatile stock with the way it had that wick right there. That's pretty much it for right now. I'll probably still be looking at this stock, and I'll make an update later. Okay, it's 10:35. I do want to go over this because I really regret missing out on it, and this one just really worked. Recently, with a lot of these listed stocks, they have like a gap up and they sell off. A lot of them have done stuff like that, and then the ones that don't just really work out. I don't really have too many of them in this watch list right here, but this was one where it was already starting to sell off and make a move under VWAP, and this is something that just brings so many short sellers into these type of stocks because most of them do end up having a gap up and it just sells off and downtrends the next few days. And this one was one where it broke above VWAP, and then I got in it right here with this in mind, and then it had like this short squeeze, as you can see right here. And then I was talking about it having a dip towards VWAP. This one actually touched VWAP and went under it a little. I was thinking that maybe it was going to just hold above it because that's the way it was looking like, but it did downtrend to this level. It didn't, really break under it. And once it turned around very quickly, and shorts are at the mercy because it breaks above VWAP. That's not good for them. It makes an uptrend, and now it's starting to sell off again. Maybe they're trying to short sell this thing even more. And then it does get to VWAP, but once it holds and it starts the uptrend, if you don't get out of your position, you're screwed as a short seller. And this one really worked out, and I was just distracted. I should have probably have taken something like this. I just didn't think it was going to do it that quickly. I thought it was going to maybe take a few more candles, and no, it just immediately turned around, and I just wasn't ready to take this one. So I did miss out on this setup right here. I do regret missing out because it worked. And then, I'm worried that if I take a setup like this in the future, it's going to be the one that doesn't work. And then I had that opportunity to have, traded this one. So maybe I do overthink the stuff like that, but yeah, very nice setup with that. Just wanted to go over it because it's a super cool setup when just something that normally goes a certain way doesn't end up being the case what it can do. And it can cause a whole bunch of short squeezes. Pretty nice setup right here with SCEO or SECO. Okay, it's 11:38 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm gonna be up on a day $4, 29 cents, and that was these three trades right here. And these first two did not work out at all. I managed to get out of this one slightly profitably, and then this one worked out. And yeah, I like it because it worked out. It was bigger than my losing trade. It was something that made up this one and then some, and the percent gain was pretty good. And this was a setup that did do that dip towards VWAP, and it really worked out afterwards. And it was actually another one that I regret missing out on. I think it was, maybe it was this one right here. I'm not extremely sure which one it was. This one. I saw this because it looked like a dip buy setup, I head and shoulders dip buy. So I saw the shoulder, I saw the potential head here, and then when it made a move under VWAP, super nice. I mean, something where even a late entry, once it, is uptrending and you're in it just because it breaks above VWAP at 265, gets as high as the 320s. Super nice setup, shoulder head, and then the big shoulder right here that even broke the day high, or even this wick if you want to include that. Super impressive setup, and then it did sell off very quickly, and it isn't too scary because this would have been something where the trend line would have allowed me to have sold this thing before it really sold off. But yeah, super nice. I think I am going to do a $20 risk level starting tomorrow, and hopefully they're not all losers. Just my luck if that happens, but I'll keep trying. Again, I just like the way I traded overall, although I did miss out on this setup, and then I missed out on this setup right here that really worked out. So it wasn't necessarily that I didn't trade horribly, although with this one right here, I did sell before it broke the trend line just because it was pretty scary looking, and it was right in theory to sell because it did seem like it was going to top there, and it did for the most part besides this wick. But I think, no, actually, did I actually stick to this one appropriately? I'm not extremely sure anymore. Let me see if I still... I don't have a trend line right here, but I'm going to take a look. Maybe I did sell this one properly, not until the trend line broke. But yeah, I still think I'm going to do a $20 risk level with that in mind because there are still nice setups happening. That's it for today. Ideally, things can continue. And yeah, I'll be looking for setups, God willing, tomorrow.